What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we got a kind of interesting thing going on here. I picked up this motherboard from a thrift shop for about $50, a little closer to $60, and it's a 4th gen motherboard, H81 MHV3, and it's from Biostar. This is not a company that I've seen in the States, so I'm assuming it's more of a Japan or Asian market brand, but it was very interesting to me for a couple of reasons. For one, again, like I said, don't recognize this brand. For two, the thrift store said this board was untested. They had no way of testing it themselves. And usually that would have just turned me off, but everything in the box was within its package. So it still came with both the SATA cables. And it does look like this motherboard has been taken out of the package before, but it looked like it was in fairly good shape. So I decided, I'll take a chance and I'll buy it and possibly build a small system out of it. It's an ITX board, and you guys may already be able to tell, but it's kind of a weird layout. I'm gonna cut this plastic here off. Okay, let's go ahead and get that off. Alright, so it's kind of a weird layout. First off, we have, well, the socket. Usually it's facing, or this bolt will be facing that the bottom of the board. So the PCIe slot is the bottom for the purposes of this explanation. So normally this would be pointing that direction. So the socket's already flipped. This is slightly bigger than a regular ITX board. As you guys can see, it's got a PCI. I'm not sure. I think this is a ×1 slot. I'm not sure, but it's got a PCI slot right here, and most ITX boards don't even have this on here. They have just the PCIe slot, so that's a little odd. You may also have noticed the DIMM slots here. They're actually at the top of the board, which is also, again, strange. Most motherboards have them on the side of the board, on the, the right hand side of the board. The SATA ports are all on the top right of the board as well, which again, most of the time they're like down here. It just makes things easier for when you're building a computer. But yeah, no, they're right here. So the 24-pin power connector is at the top of the board. Usually that's on the side. And we got a 4-pin CPU power port here, or plug. The only weird thing about this is not even that it's 4-pin. I mean, I've seen plenty of motherboards with 4-pin connectors like that. But the weird part about this is that it's kind of next to the I/O, which normally this is up here in the corners. So it's just a kind of an odd motherboard, and I thought it was really cool, so I decided to pick it up. This is a 1155 socket board. For the most part, all the pins look like they're in the right spots. It doesn't look like it's damaged at all, and I made sure to check all this when I first picked it up. So the question is, does it work? Well, that's what we're here to find out. So first off, I want to go ahead and say I picked up a couple parts for this just in case. So I've actually got 2 sets of RAM. This is a UMax DDR3 module. RAM module. I'm not sure exactly what brand UMax is, but it was, again, a brand I never heard of. So I decided to give it a shot. And what makes this a little weird is this is actually supposed to be sold as a 2 stick kit, at least according to the back. Unfortunately, I only have one stick, but you know, I got that used at the same thrift store I bought this, so it doesn't really surprise me. All right, which one of these is? Okay, this is A1. So we're going to go ahead and, there we go, start slotting things in here. So this is only 1333 megahertz. The other set of RAM I picked up is a set of G-Skill Ripjaw. It's a 8 gig kit, so it's 2 sticks of 4 gigs. Sorry. I got a cinnamon candy in my mouth, and it's tickling the throat a little bit. Now, for processor, I actually just picked this up, and I think I actually got a decent deal on this. This is an i7 4771, and I picked it up in Akihabara today. And I've never actually seen this particular processor before. I've seen plenty of 4770s and what's the big brother? I think 4790s, I believe. And they're like, those are pretty common, but I had never seen a 4771. And I'm like, you know, what the hell? So I paid about $80 for this, which I thought was a little high. Jumped on eBay and they're selling for anywhere from like $80 to about $120. So, you know, while I didn't really get a good deal, it was still better than what most of them are actually going on eBay. So we are going to stick this in, and got to make sure it's oriented correctly, because okay, cool. And this particular processor actually came with the stock cooler, which is fine by me. I mean, I didn't want to start spending any kind of money on this until I knew this board worked. And I guess one could argue, well, you bought RAM and a CPU for it, but I would argue back that I was going to end up doing that eventually anyway. So either way, I planned on using these parts, or at the very least, I planned on building another computer and maybe possibly get started on building gaming computers again for people. So, not a very big fan of how these actually work. So, the locking mechanism in the Intel coolers are pretty notoriously bad, if you ask me. But, you know, I wasn't about to pay money on another. Okay. Wasn't about to pay money on another cooler, and just in case this motherboard didn't work. I'm currently looking into possibly getting a GTX 980 Ti, possibly. Maybe even a 1060 6GB variant card. Those would both be decent cards for this type of build. And now for the power supply. I haven't bought a power supply for this yet, but for now I'm just going to use the power supply for my computer here. So give me a second to need something to okay. Ah, hell. I might as well just take the whole computer apart at this point. So, give me a second, guys, to start getting power cables and stuff situated. I'm going to have to rewire this computer anyway, so. Okay, everything's plugged in. We are about to press the power button on my computer here. Well, that's a good sign. All right, let's pause here and check out the monitor. Okay guys, so as you guys can tell from the monitor, we're not getting any kind of signal whatsoever. If we look at the motherboard, you can see I got my graphics card plugged into it and nothing else. I have swapped out the RAM to the Ripjaw memory, and there's the stick I was using. Obviously not a signal. Fan is spinning up perfectly fine. These fans are both spinning as well. There's just no output. I've also cleared the CMOS using the little jumper. And I think the only thing that I haven't tried is honestly removing the battery itself. And so I think that's what I'm going to do next. If not, then if it doesn't work, then I guess we got bamboozled on this board. You know, it was worth a shot, but you know, if it is something to do with the battery, then maybe we can still salvage this. Who knows? But this is kind of the reason why I didn't buy a whole lot of parts for this, because something like this could happen. So I'm going to pause here and we're going to take out the battery and see what happens. Alright guys, so basically still having no signal whatsoever. Took out the CMOS battery, all that. Nothing is working. So either there's only two other things I can think of. Either the board is dead, which I think is probably the most likely scenario here, that the motherboard is probably dead. The other idea is that it might be trying to put signal out through the VGA. That is something that has happened on these older boards from time to time that I've seen. That could possibly be the case. The only other thing I can think of is if it is the VGA, and the reason that it could be, or it could cause my mouse not to work or my keyboard, is same thing. This is an older board, so it might want to have like an older keyboard. Where I've had it with some of the older builds where because my keyboard has extra hardware in it, it doesn't register as a keyboard right away. It registers as some other device and it won't basically boot up. So what I end up doing with that is I'll get like an old Dell keyboard or HP or something like that, and usually I'm able to use that kind of keyboard in order to get this running. So until I can get a VGA cable, I'm going to put this board on hold, and we'll see what happens from there. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time.